Hey, you're back. Thanks. In part one of this Freak the Geek focus on Dead Ringers, we kept it light, talking about entry-level Hitchcockian influences, their cameos, the uncanny enchantment of their props. Now let's get to work on those deeper tissues of influence in Hitchcock Influence number 4. On the face of it, Dead Ringers is a twin film. You know, that genre of movies that's driven by the mistaken identity of twins. As with Hitchcock's Rope, a murder story that was based on the real-life Leopold and Loeb case, Dead Ringers is also loosely based on the true-life story of Stuart and Cyril Marcus, twins who operated a joint OBGYN practice. Just as Rope's Brandon and Philip commit murder for cavalier reasons, Beverly and Elliot Mantle in Dead Ringers play frivolous sex games with their patients.
You haven't fucked Claire Neveu until you tell me about it.
And it goes badly as well. But Dead Ringers is more than just a twin movie. I'd say it's actually about doppelgangers, those uncanny, mysterious doubles that can be so vexing in literature and film. Like another famous doppelganger film, Beauty and the Beast, it's a
tale as old as time, 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 tale as old as time.
Anyway, doppelganger stories tend to follow a very specific pattern. Like Jekyll and Hyde, one person is obviously good, while his or her double represents their Jungian shadow, their evil side. If the two ever confront, or worse, try to individuate from each other, bad things can happen, like death.
I'm going to church! I'm going to church!
And there you have the rest of the plot of Dead Ringers. Where does Hitch figure in this? Few directors were as obsessed with the doppelganger as he was. Here's just a short list of examples. The title character in The Lodger shows up on Daisy's doorstep to rent a room that he can make his base of operations as he pursues his serial killer double, the Avenger. In Shadow of a Doubt, young Charlie, played by teenage Teresa Wright, encounters her double, the evil Uncle Charlie, played by Joseph Cotten. Strangers on a Train. This one is so important, we'll come back to it in a moment. Henry Fonda is the wrong man, playing a meek, mild lamb to the slaughter while his double goes on a robbing spree. Hitchcock's greatest masterpiece, Vertigo, is a hall of doppelganging mirrors where the double shows up first in a story, then in a painting, then in the flesh, and it finally ends in blood. In North by Northwest, advertising executive Roger Thornhill suffers an existential crisis when he learns that his doppelganger, George Kaplan, doesn't even exist. Psych! Speaking of, Psycho is Doppelganger Palooza, where Norman is literally his mother's double, but then Lila Crane is Marion's double, and it has been persuasively argued that Norman killed Marion because she was his doppelganger. Whoa! Scratch that, since we're talking about Cronenberg. In short, in making Dead Ringers, Cronenberg had a lot of Hitchcockian material to draw on for inspiration. That in itself doesn't prove Hitch's influence, but it sure is a hell of a coincidence. And to be fair, both directors are part of a long tradition of doppelgangerism, going back to Egyptian mythology, which spoke of our Ka, or a spirit double, that has the same memories and feelings as we do. The thing of it is, most movies about doppelgangers aren't literal about it.
I'd like to think I'm pretty unique.
They usually give us two clearly distinct characters that just happen to have enough similarities that we call them doubles, but we know they aren't. That way we don't have to suspend any disbelief. And with that, I can't help but bring up the Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode called The Case of Mr. Pelham, directed by Hitch himself and inspired by Dostoevsky's novel, The Devil. Here, a man encounters his actual doppelganger, and it drives him insane.
What's going on here? Oh, so there you are. Why? Why did this have to happen to me? Why? No reason. It just did, you see.
And that brings us back to Dead Ringers, because it's a story that's manifestly about doubling. The Mantle brothers are twins, doppelgangers from the womb, who make a game out of tricking people by swapping roles. It can be hard to keep track of who's who. Lines can get blurred. When one takes a drug, the other feels it.
Almost all twins movies are either broad comedies in which the twins are, let's say, exactly the same. That's like The Parent Trap. There's no difference. Or they are thrillers in which one of the twins is a psychotic killer and the other one is innocent. I've never actually seen a movie which featured twins as a main character in which the twins were each real people, complex and subtle, and neither one being the embodiment of evil, you know, or not, and it was just that they were both real people.
Hayley Mills, eat your twin sister's heart out.
Surprise!
And that brings us to
Hitchcock influence number 5.
What I find fascinating about Dead Ringers is that in addition to the twinning and doubling and predatory behavior, Beverly and Elliot, whom Bev nicknames Ellie, by the way, kind of have a thing for each other. You even get the sense that they enjoy a gay relationship by proxy in a long-distance menage with Claire.
Right. I'll just separate you.
Separate us? What do you mean?
Now we're moving from the realm of kink to outright taboo. And so the film dances around those edges of perversion until the twins go completely batshit. And this is another affinity with Hitchcock, whose films were front-loaded with all sorts of sexual ambiguities and, of course, psychoses, and he made it especially hard to draw the line between the two. It's for these reasons that many critics, like Professor Stella Abruzzi, just can't resist mentioning Hitchcock and Cronenberg in the same breath, writing that the two directors share an enduring fascination with polymorphous queerness. In Hitchcock's films, as with Dead Ringers, the kinky and taboo content is only hinted at. It's ambiguous and therefore deniable, but that's why these movies get under your skin. Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train enters that doubly strange world of both doppelgangers and queer sexuality as well. Bruno and Guy are doubles, and it's implied that they have the hots for each other. That makes them very unusual for movies, especially in 1951 when it was made. Okay, so now we're starting to get to some very dark places, regions of the human soul that few dare to look at, but at the same time are right there, universally present. It's in that way that Hitch and Cronenberg are very much aligned. But they didn't go there just to tickle some kinky fetish. They both asked some very profound philosophical questions. Like what? Come back for part 3. And by the way, thank you so much for sticking with me on this journey. If you're a patron, I'm thrilled and grateful for your support. If you'd like to pitch in on this effort, please sign up on my Patreon page.